Looks like it's live.
Yeah, looks like it on my side too.
Yep. Just I'm waiting for it to process because it takes very, very slow over here.
Uh,
There we go. Awesome. All
awesome.
right, guys. Hey, guys. How you doing? It's Kevtech here, bringing you a video on information technology. Hope you guys are having a good day. Happy Sunday. And today I'm here with the IT or Bearded Dad. So let's just wait for everyone to join a little bit before we get started. Um, obviously, if you guys don't know him, he has a YouTube channel. Obviously, he's gonna tell us about his channel and everything. I'm gonna ask him a couple of questions. I'm gonna wait for a bunch of people to join before we get started. So just bear with us. Wait for everyone to join, and we'll get started with this. Should be fun.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Let's wait for everyone to join. You got the link? Oh, you
I
got the link.
do.
All right, awesome. Good.
Yeah, just
Awesome.
sharing that out so everyone would know about it.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I actually mine posted already. I'm just waiting for more people to join. Let's give it a second. I'm gonna wait a couple more minutes before we get started.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I wanna. So I know that people are gonna start asking questions like, "Who's this random guy on the video?" It's just like, so. Let's give it a few more seconds.
I see Kevin runs on Duncan.
Oh yeah, I see Kevin there. Yeah, definitely see Kevin there. So, you guys are wondering, I'm eating gummy bears. All right, awesome. All right, I'm gonna get started. So, uh, so you guys don't know I'm interviewing the IT Beer Dad, and basically he has a YouTube channel, but also he also works a job as well. So I figure I get somebody like him to be in the chat because it's interesting because he does YouTube like I do, and he does a full-time job as well. So I'm like, let's have an interview together. Um, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Um, just tell us a brief information about what you do, what you work in, and what's your channel about too. Tell us about your YouTube channel too. I would like to know about that too.
Absolutely. So my name's Dakota. I am a NOC engineer for a local ISP. For some of those of you who are just starting in the field, NOC is a network operations center. This is the main hub of the internet for several of our communities around us here where I live. So I've been in the field for about 3 years. I've had my YouTube channel for about the same amount of time. Um, Over there on my YouTube channel, the Bearded IT Dad, very much like Kevin, our main goal or my main goal is to help people with advice and encouragement to enter the IT field or advance into the next position in the IT field. So like we do like A+ study groups, um, you know, different certification videos about information about certifications, depending on what you're interested in, whether it's security, networking, or just trying to get that entry level job. So that's a little bit of background on me.
Awesome. I was going to ask you another question. What was your what was your first job in IT? Just curious.
So my first job in the IT field, I was a IT support specialist for a small West Coast based hotel chain company. um, I started there as an hourly employee, just a basic kind of entry level help desk person. My job title stayed the same. I was always an IT support specialist. Um, but I started there just doing help desk, password resets, setting up email accounts, troubleshooting printers. And then they quickly realized I had more skills to offer. I was very much into networking. And I've always been into networking a lot. And by the time I left the company, after about 2.5 years, I was designing the complete IT infrastructure for 3 different brand new hotels they were building. Everything from their front desk machines. I was sourcing and talking to vendors, trying to find best pricing, designing the complete network for the hotels, everything from the access points, the cabling in the rooms, television systems, and everything. So it was a really great job. I quite enjoyed it.
I was going to ask you another question. So what do you have when you got the first job, do you have a certification prior to getting that job, or you didn't have any certs when you got your first job? I'm just wondering.
So actually, yeah, when I got my first job, I had no certifications, no formal education, no college degree. I had my high school diploma, but I had no prior work experience whatsoever. You know, what I did have though is I had my own home labs, and I was currently studying for the A+ certification, because I knew the A+ certification was my foot in the door, and that's one thing I mentioned when I went for my very first interview with this company, is that I'm currently studying for the A+. I have a date when I'm going to take my exam for the A+. And then I also talked about what I practice and do on my home labs, and they saw that I knew enough and that my people skills were very well, my soft skills were great, that they offered me the position.
That's awesome, man. So I was gonna ask you, like, how do you, because it's so random how you went from you jumped from there to knock. How do you did that? Like, how's
That
that happen?
I was just extremely motivated. I always knew I wanted to become a network engineer, and really actually network admin, system administrator, was my end career goals. And after I left that very first job, I spent a little bit of time working for a school district as a network tech. Um, I was actually only with that job for a couple months, and it was a great job, but just it wasn't quite a fit for me. And I just so happened to find the listing for this NOC engineer position. And so I applied, and it was a very fast process. I went to I applied one week. The very next week, I had my first interview. The week after that, I had another interview, and then the week after that, I got offered the job. I mean, so it was a very fast paced progression there. And and when I went for my second interview, it was a long one. It was like almost 2 hours long. I explained to them, I might not be the most knowledgeable person you interview, but I know how to communicate with people and understand and, you know, describe things and help people who may not be as tech savvy. And I really think that's what got me the position, is my soft skills. Um, but it's really a dream job for me. So that's what I wanted to do for a long time, is a mixture of systems and networking.
That's awesome. Did you this is a random question.
Yeah.
When you were before applying to this job, did you have a lab environment with Cisco Packet Tracer? I'm just throwing that out there.
I did have a Cisco environment with Packet Tracer. I no don't find myself using it that often, to be honest with you. I
Mhm.
have actual physical gear. I have 2 different Cisco switches and 3 different Cisco routers. I went out and bought. I got a really good deal off of eBay, and I set up a physical lab environment and used that to practice on. But an interesting thing is my ISP almost uses zero Cisco equipment. They use a lot of Juniper and HP switches. So, it made me nervous because I had no Juniper experience. But networking is networking. So once you kind of understand the fundamentals, it's just learning the slightly different commands. But I did go out and buy a Juniper switch for like $20 just to practice on and start learning the different commands.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I was just wondering, like, some people have Cisco Packet Tracer, some have like a virtual lab, like they do VMware, VirtualBox, and I'm pretty sure that some of that is like preparation. So then when you go to the job interview, you could actually answer some of these weird questions that they may ask you. Um, So the manager, I guess the manager liked your personality skills, and that's a good thing, right? It's just the manager like your personality skills.
Absolutely. I think soft skills are really one of the most important skills in this field. And I wasn't always great with people. I wasn't always a people person, but I kind of got out and started um, communicating with people more. And even with my YouTube channel, I kind of got used to talking to people, even though it's just a camera I'm talking to, realizing on the other side of that lens was, hundreds of thousands of people potentially watching me and how I talk like right now. Um, it really helped me. So
What's going off topic? Like what is like outside of IT? Like how do you stay like because you get burned out IT very fast, right? So what are things that you do to relax you or make you happy outside of IT, like hobbies and stuff like that? What do you
yeah.
do?
And it's still kind of somewhat IT related, but doing my YouTube channel is actually quite relaxing for me. It makes it um I get it's not the stress of, okay, what I do might break the network. It's helping someone learn. But other than that, I love to go off-roading and camping. Like just this weekend, I was working on doing a motor swap. I like getting my hands dirty and doing that kind of stuff, working on cars. Next couple weekends, I got to do another motor swap on my wife's Jeep she just got. So and then I have 3 kids at home too, so spending time with family is huge for me. I enjoy watching my kids grow up and spending time with them.
And how does like going off topic again, but because of the whole pandemic, right? How has that affected you as an individual applying for IT jobs? Because the whole pandemic is like you can't be in the office, you could be in the office, you have to do a video call in your desk in order to do an interview with someone. So how has that in fact impacted you as a person applying for these jobs?
It's made it, I think, a little bit more difficult. You know, Doing a video call, you still get that one-on-one experience with the person, but I think it's sometimes difficult to uh, show like show your people skills. It can make it a little bit more difficult for people to get that personality feel through the camera, through the lens, as in actually sitting with someone and being able to watch their body language and their visual cues they're giving you. It makes it slightly more difficult, I think, looking for that job. And employers are, I think, a little bit more picky. And also, I think the job market in certain areas are getting a little flooded. The pandemic opened up a lot of jobs in IT, but some people unfortunately lost their jobs in IT and are looking, or their job was deemed it couldn't be done remotely or something like that. So this job market's really kind of in flux, I think, right now.
Got it. That makes sense. And I was going to ask you another question. What certifications are you currently studying right now? Or are you trying to study?
Yeah. So right now I'm currently studying for the Junos or the JNCIS Junos certification. It's a entry level Juniper networking certification I'm currently studying for, and it's a great certification. It's about as closest thing to a CCNA equivalent certification. Um, but there's actually a program they're offering. It's completely free if you go and use their study material to study for it and take their practice exams. They'll give you a 75% off voucher, and then there's a certain way you can go and get pretty much your whole exam costs completely free. So that's what I'm currently studying for now. As soon as I'm done with that, I want to start on my Security Plus. I do have my A plus, and I want to make sure and get my Security Plus before my A plus expires, so it renews my A plus as well.
Dude, sounds like a good strategy.
Yes, very very busy though.
Yeah, that's good, man. What is your like what do you see yourself as your end goal in IT?
I used to see my end goals really in the job I currently have. Um, and now that I'm there, I don't want to consider that my end goal because I'm always looking to better myself for my own personal goals to develop my career and for my family's goals. Family is really important to me. So in all honesty, my next step, I think, in my career path would be that director level, director of operations position that oversees the big picture and gets kind of has his hands in everything, gets to work in everything.
And what was your, if someone's asking about it? I
Oh,
know we're not taking questions, but not yet
yeah,
anyway.
go ahead.
But what's your study routine? How do you study a certification? Like for example, like you did the A plus. Like what was your study routine? What did you use to study the A plus?
So the A plus for me, I primarily use CBT Nuggets, which is an online e-learning platform. They have little short videos and quizzes, and they offer practice labs and flashcards. It was really helpful for me. But then someone gave me a free subscription to IT Pro TV, and I started using it and realizing some things that CBT Nuggets didn't cover that IT Pro TV did. There was a lot of overlap in both of them, but there's little nuances. And then I discovered Professor Messer, and he talked about a couple different things. So I didn't. I think my advice is not to rely on one way to learn. I'm very much a hands-on learner. When I was learning something, I would a lot of times, for better or for worse, try it on my own computer. I should have been spinning up a lab and VMs, but I was impatient and just started practicing on my own computer. And so everything I learned, I went in labs and practice. And I think that's really important. And it was the key to my success because both of my exams I passed on the first try with flying colors. Is to watch the video, to learn it that way, and then go and put your hands on the actual hardware, spin up a VM of Linux, or Mac OS. There's ways to do that and actually practice what you're learning.
That makes sense. I totally agree with you. And I'm guessing in your job, you're probably in your current job, you're probably doing firewall changes, some backend changes, probably doing Cisco rack and stack, changing routers, upgrading routers, putting access points. Probably a little bit of everything, which is kind of fun actually because you get to touch a little bit of everything. It's not just one thing, It's just
It, exactly. I don't think I would be happy kind of siloed off into one sort of technology. And that's what I really like about my job. That's why it's my dream job. This last week was my first week. I was working a lot in their server environment. Um, and learning their different systems they have. They run a lot of open source systems, which are really interesting, but learning how their servers are all set up. They have a lot of Linux based servers, and I'm not an expert at Linux. I won't be ashamed to say that. I have a Raspberry Pi back there in the background running Linux that I've learned and practiced on and wrote in some stuff, and I have a program running on it. But learning that infrastructure, and then I'm also responsible for the firewall and for the core routing environment for that everything flows through, and the load balancer that balances our internet among multiple sources. So if one source that we get our internet from fails, the entire internet doesn't go down and all that. So and then I even deal with printers, the wonderful printers. Just like on my second day, I had to go set up a copier and figure out. There was unfortunately no documentation on our print server environment, so I had to, on the fly while I'm working on this printer, try to figure out how the print server is set up and how the group policy was working, and found out the group policy wasn't working. So I had to make changes and directly connect the computers for now until I could fix the group policy. But just kind of learning all that on the fly, I really enjoy it because it's not the same thing every day, and every day I go to work, I know it's going to be a different challenge. So it's quite fun.
That's good, man. That's why I tell people, like, pick a job you like and do it. Like, if you're not gonna like it, then don't do it. You have to pick something you like. I was gonna ask you another question. This is actually a controversy question. So, what is your advice for someone that's brand new to IT and that wants to just jump into network admin?
I think that's it's difficult to do. It's doable, absolutely. I believe. You can jump right into network administration, but it's going to be very difficult for you. It's going to be quite the learning curve, I think. And even if you do study and get your CCNA, CCNP, even, um, I think you're still going to have difficulty without that experience getting a job, or a job that pays decently, or you might work a short contract or something. But I think almost everyone, it's kind of like a rite of passage. You have to do your time on your help desk, at least like a year of help desk to advance. I think if you get at least 1 year of experience on your help desk, I think jumping from help desk to a network administrator job is very doable. I mean, it's very similar to what I did, in all honesty. um I think it's a wise jump. Yes, it might take you a little bit more time, but I think you'll be more successful in your career and potentially have the ability to make more money even if you do that jump, from you start at help desk and then go to a network administrator instead of just jumping right to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I get it. Yeah, because some people are like, I want to just be a network admin, and they don't want to do it. They don't want to do help desk. So that's why I wanted to know what your thought
Yeah.
process was.
And I think it's just a rite of passage that everyone kind of should go through,
Hmm.
because you learn a lot of other things. Because your network admin typically, in most companies, isn't just a network admin. You have to do other things, um, with other hardwares, and you need to know the basics. Sometimes you do become just a network admin and you're just siloed off in that area. But
Hmm.
I think everyone kind of needs to do their time at the help desk to learn.
I tell people that, but sometimes people want to jump to something else instantly. That's why I always wanted to know what your thought process was on that. That's
That
why.
yeah, that's my thought process.
Yeah. And
Like I said, it's doable, absolutely, and I've seen people do it.
mm-hmm.
Um, but you can set yourself up for failure that way. And if for some reason you get into a job and aren't successful, that could be really hard to pick yourself back up and continue on.
That makes sense. I was gonna ask you another. There's another random question.
Oh, go
So
ahead.
it's usually the question I ask everyone in this when I do interviews with them. So, um, if you were to go back in time in your IT career, what would you have changed to make your life a lot easier to get into IT?
I would have started sooner. Um, and I would have. So coming out of high school, I was very fortunate. My high school had a CCNA class, and when I graduated high school, I was already CCNA certified. Um, and the Cisco CCNA program at that time had like a guaranteed like 95% job placement. But I didn't. I After high school, I didn't continue down that path. And if I would have kept my momentum up and kept on studying, and gone down that path, I would be well over six figures by now in my career. Um, you know, and just doing it again, not getting that early start, I think I would have started studying for my A plus sooner and been more aggressive and had my A plus before I took that first job. I'm not saying you should wait to take your first job until you have your A plus, um, but be very proactive about your studying and start applying sooner too. I know that kind of contradicts what I just said, but don't wait until you have a bunch of certifications. Start applying today. If you want to be in that job field now, start applying now, and put that you're studying for your certifications now. Don't wait, because you're just wasting time. So that's my advice if I was to do it again.
And what would be your advice for someone that's brand new to IT? Like this is 2021, right?
Yeah.
So if you had to start all over again, or you had to tell someone like someone brand new, like what advice would you give them if they wanted to start their first job in IT?
Get your A plus. The A plus is really going to open a lot of doors for you. Start studying for your A plus today. Go sign up. David Bombal has courses on Udemy, Professor Messer on YouTube. If money is an issue for you, there's free resources. Professor Messer has a great channel on YouTube and tons of videos about studying for your A plus. There is no reason not to get your A plus certification. If you're a student, you can even get a discount on your A plus certification if you have a student email address and get I think it's like half off your certification. But just immediately, just there's no reason not to study for your A plus. Start labbing, lab every day. Lab is going to be the most important thing to success. With that, avoid the boot camps. I'm not a big believer in boot camps at all, but get certified and start applying today. Don't wait. Time's a ticking. Just keep your eye on the end goal.
That makes total sense. I agree with you. What do you think is the most what do you think? Like I tell people usually when someone doesn't hire you, it's typically because of your resume, right? So
Absolutely.
what is your advice for someone that is applying for 100 jobs and they're not getting any calls back? And I think we spoke about this before on your channel about the
Yeah.
resume. What happened to you when that? We talk
Yeah,
about that actually.
absolutely. So, I, I I had a resume that I used on my very first job. It got me my job, and it got me my foot in the door. I was with the company for 2.5 years, but I had to leave. I had to move back home closer to family. And when I started looking for work again, I used that same resume. I just added the work experience, but I wasn't getting any calls. And I had to kind of doubt myself and see that I doubted myself that I was good enough, because I was applying for all these jobs. And, I knew, like, okay, I knew in my head, if you're not getting callbacks on, you need to adjust your resume. Your resume is not doing it. But it's like, I am a YouTuber that gives career advice. My resume has got to be the best of them all, I thought. But I just wasn't getting the calls. So I finally did it. I'm like, okay, enough's enough. I'm going to rewrite my entire resume, tore it down and rewrote it all. And then as soon as I rewrote it, literally like that week I rewrote it, I started getting calls about jobs and job offers that were making ridiculous amount of money, um, and stuff. And it just it clicked to me. I'm like, okay, that was it. My resume was garbage. I mean, it looked great to me, and I thought it was wonderful, but the proof is in the pudding there. I was a victim of that myself. It's something I preach to everyone on my YouTube channel. If you're not getting any responses when you're applying for all these jobs, you need to adjust your resume. Your resume is not doing it for you. So
What's your advice for staying motivated? Because you told me you apply, no one was hiring you. So that does take a toll in your head and your mind when you're getting all these rejection letters and offers. So how did you, I guess, pick yourself right up and kept doing it?
I just kept focused on the end goal. I knew what I wanted. I knew what job I wanted to do in this career field. I know what I wanted to become, and I just had to stay motivated. My family really motivated me a lot. They believed in me. They encouraged me to make this job change. They've been super supportive with me every step of the way. When I had to, when we had to move like 2.5 hours away from family, everyone supported us, you know, to make this job change, to make this dream a reality. And I just had to keep on thinking of them, what was best for not only, what was best for them and the best way I could support them, but what I was going to be most happy doing. And, just the thought of having the job I currently have was what kept me going, because I knew if I stayed in the field long enough and I worked hard enough that it would come. So
That's good, man. I was just wondering, yeah, because a lot of people get discouraged, so they apply to 100 jobs and then they don't get any calls, and you get any
oh,
calls back or anything. So
absolutely. I mean, even I'm only 1 week into this new job, and there's other jobs I applied for, and I'm getting rejection letters from those jobs still. And I'm
mhm.
like, man, I thought I had that job in the bag. you know I'm glad I got rejected, because the job I currently have now is my dream job. It's a
Mhm.
lot better than that job, but I'm
Mhm.
like, man, I got rejected for that job. That job should have been a cakewalk for me. And just, yeah, so you can't let that get you down. Unfortunately, a lot of the jobs, the automatic HR filter will um, turn you down before you actually are ever seen by a real human, unfortunately, sometimes. So you can't
Mhm.
take it personally. There's a chance your resume never landed on someone's desk.
And sometimes a lot of it, and again we spoke about this. A lot of it has to do about networking too. Not networking IT, like networking, talking to people. Like sometimes you have to
Absolutely.
have a good network, and you have to have a LinkedIn profile and everything.
Absolutely. In this job field, it very much sometimes comes down to who you know, not what you know sometimes. And that's just unfortunately sometimes the bitter truth. I'm not a big believer in that myself. But I've seen it happen a lot, unfortunately. And if you get out there and start networking, which is difficult right now during the COVID times,
Hmm.
um, but you start talking to people, you get on the discords and stuff, and start interacting with other people in this job field, in this community, start knowing more people, that can really help you, and you can sometimes call on that when you're actually looking for a job.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's like you said, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and
Absolutely.
stay with those connections. Hmm. I was gonna ask you. What was the other thing I was gonna ask you? What do you think about a mentor? What are your thoughts about that? I was gonna
you
ask you
know
about that.
I I I believe if you find the right person that's willing to mentor you, it can definitely go a long way. A lot of the people in this job field, they're very they're very nice people that are willing to help you learn. I mean, it's very rare that you'll find someone in this job field. I think it just kind of attracts that right kind of personality that um you know that everyone kind of wants to see everyone else succeed. So you find that person, really stick with it, and let them show you, what they know. It can really go a long way.
Yeah, I was asking that because sometimes for me myself, like I was like I wish I had a mentor when I was doing IT, because sometimes you need that push from somebody or something in order for you to keep going. So that's what I was just wondering what your thought process was on that.
Yeah, my brother-in-law actually has been in the IT field for quite some time. He's in the security field, and has a very high up position. And I kind of considered him a mentor because he gave me a lot of advice and kept pushing me. As someone that's been in the field and understands how it is to start from the bottom and work your way to the top. Um, he's really kind of been a mentor to me and someone I can look up to, and keeps me motivated, keeps me in check.
That's good. That's awesome.
I think everyone ends up getting a mentor, whether they realize it or not, in this field, or they want it or not. I think it's just the way people are in this field. Everyone in this field, to be successful, you have to have great soft skills, and that kind of lends towards that kind of environment, I think. So
And what's your? I was gonna say, what's your thought on? I'm changing the topic a little bit.
uh-uh.
What's your thought on the CCNA now that it's like it used to be a bunch of exams and they changed the whole CCNA? What do you thought of it like right now? Is it harder? Is it easier? Is it the same?
Um, and I haven't started studying it too much since they've changed it.
Mm-hmm.
I still think the CCNA carries a lot of weight. It is a very big, world-renowned certification that a lot of employers require you to have. So I think the CCNA is still one of the best certifications you can get if you're looking to enter the networking world. I still prefer the CCNA over the Network Plus because it's a more well-known certification. Not saying the Network Plus is a bad certification,
Mm-hmm.
um, but if you do a one-for-one job search, how many jobs require a Network Plus versus how many jobs require a CCNA, the CCNA will always come out on top, no matter where you are, I think. Um, have they made it possibly an easier test and more of an entry-level test? Possibly. I believe that's kind of the feeling a lot of people are
Mm-hmm.
saying.
Mm-hmm.
I just personally can't say it because I haven't gone through it again since they've changed their curriculum. I haven't been focusing on a lot of Cisco gear because my work doesn't have any, so it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
really make sense for me to go down the Cisco path to get certified, and that's why I've been focusing more on Juniper. And it's kind of nice to look at a different side. I've always been Cisco. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
huge Cisco fanboy. I have tons of Cisco swag. I got a full Cisco Meraki network deployment. I have Cisco switches. I am a fanboy of Cisco, definitely. But it's interesting to see the different side in Juniper world. So um, but I still think if you're interested in networking, you want to be in networking, the CCNA is a must as well. Start off with the A+ and then transition to the CCNA. I think that is a very solid certification path and is great building blocks for any career.
What is your thought process on network admins with cloud? This is Azure and there's all AWS. This is a conversation about the
Yeah,
cloud stuff and how is it gonna affect network admins, or is it gonna be the same? What is your thought process on that?
it really depends on what kind of organization you're really working for, and what they are using. There is a huge push towards moving everything to the cloud, but I think a lot of the smaller organizations, the ones that don't quite have the capital, are going to be kind of stuck in their old ways for quite a while. I think on-prem networking is not going to go away anytime soon or ever. You'll
Mm-hmm.
always have an on-prem networking. Um, but yeah, if you start working for some of the bigger organizations that can afford that cloud overhead, the cost that comes with the cloud, is definitely going to become more and more important to learn.
And have you gone over any of those other ones like Azure or AWS? Or you haven't touched any of those certifications yet or looked at it?
I haven't. I've looked into Google a little bit. We do some cloud, Google Cloud stuff right now at my new employer. So I've only briefly looked into it. It's just never quite. I was never quite as interested in it. I know it's very important and it's something I will eventually have to learn and do. Just it's not something that's really applying towards my career path right now. So I've mainly been focusing on what pertains to what working on at the time.
Oh, that makes sense. I was gonna ask you another question about is a random question. So what's how's like the job you're in right now? How's it how are you with your work life balance? Because a lot of people that work IT jobs usually they're not to say anything bad, but sometimes you're stuck in a really bad job where you have some really long hours and you don't have time to spend with your family or loved ones. So how's your work life balance how has it affected you? Like have you been
Yeah.
okay and it's been okay? It wasn't
So at my last two jobs, my current job and my last job, the work life balance has been actually really great. 8 to 5 job. My current job, I did have actually had to work one evening already. I had to restart our Active Directory domain controller, and I didn't want to do that during production hours, so I remoted in after hours, and after I restarted it, sure enough, I ran into some issues with it. But you know it's a very nice work life balance. After I leave work, I can kind of stop worrying about what's going on. Now, if there's a problem, that's causes the internet to go down, absolutely, I'm going to have to pick up the phone and possibly hop in a car and drive into work to figure out what's going on, because I am the person responsible for all network operations for my company. But other than that, I do have that nice work life balance. Now, my first job, I did actually struggle with that a bit because there was a lot of travel involved with my first job. We were a hotel chain, and we had hotels spread everywhere from Bellingham, Washington, to Lancaster, California, which is about 2 hours away from Disneyland. So we had quite the large spread of hotels we had to support, and we were a small team of three techs, including myself. So if something went wrong, we were hopping on a plane or hopping in a car and taking a long car drive to go support them. Or like what was the hardest was when we were building a new hotel. Like we built one down in California, and I spent almost 3 months on the road. I was only home on weekends, and that took a lot of toll. And whenever I had to go do one of those extended periods away from family, it made me really question whether this job field was right for me, whether it's worth it. And I knew I wanted to be this in this job field. It's just not all employers were like that. And nothing bad against my employer either. I love them and I go back to them in a heartbeat. But uh, it just the work life balance wasn't quite there. and the demands were quite high to be on the road a lot. And I knew it going in. It just had kind of evolved more than expected. So it was really hard. I know, and it suffered more than just at work. It carried over into my home life. Made it difficult. I kind of stopped my YouTube channel for like over a year because by the time I got home, I was so burnt out. I didn't want to see another piece of technology. Um, you know, I didn't have the great attitude always. It made it really difficult. So it's easy to get burnt out, and you have to be aware of that. Um, One thing you and I were talking about the other day is like when you used to work for an MSP, and you're working like 60 hours a week and stuff, and that's that's difficult on a body. I've been there, I've done that, and yes, sometimes you have to do it in technology. There'll be times when something's not working right, or you're bringing up a brand new business or something. There'll be times like that, but it can't. It's not a sustainable career to be able to do that all the time. So you have to kind of watch yourself and learn.
Yeah, I was also talking about that because because in IT you get burned out so fast, and a lot of people don't talk about the IT burned out like that. That's something like, like deep down inside, like there's pros and cons for a job, right? No matter what company you work for. But I
Yeah,
always tell people you got to look at the work life balance and see if you actually have time to be with your family, if you have time to be with your loved ones, you have time to do all these other things besides work, because money is good, but what's the point of making so much money if you can't even use it? If you're spending the whole day at work and you don't have any time for anything else, doesn't make any sense.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And I'm a big family person. Family comes first, to me. And you have to make sure you're not wearing yourself so thin. It's really important. And it's sometimes hard to to see that when you first start a job, because it's kind of like that. I want to say like that honeymoon phase. You're all excited, you're working at a new job, and then you don't realize it as much, but that newness will start to wear off and you'll just get burnt out so quickly. And you really want to try to avoid that. You want to make sure it's a good fit for you and something you can do long term, because you don't want to be having to change jobs often, because that doesn't look great on a resume.
yeah, I definitely don't recommend jumping from one job to another job. It's not no bueno. It's
Yeah.
no good.
And while you mentioned that, a lot of times if you want to take that career advance, sometimes you will have to change employers and we'll have to jump jobs. And it's very a lot of employers like to hire from internal, but those positions don't always come available. So more than likely, if you want to advance your career, you're going to have to make that job change. But you don't want it to just be constantly jumping jobs, because that will that will work against you on your resume. Yes, you're building experience, but they see that you jump jobs often. They're like, oh, is this guy going to only be around, for like 4 months before he gets bored with us and moves on to something else? So
That totally makes sense. And someone was asking in chat, what was the resume like? What did you change on your resume that everyone started to call you? It's just a curiosity question.
yeah, I really what I did was I simplified it. It was very cluttered. I had a lot of individual skills, and on it, kind of, I had them all in nice list format, but I just think it was just too much information. It was unnecessary. So I got rid of all that. At the top of my resume was just a brief description about me, my passion for technology, and my people skills. And then I highlighted I had a short section highlighting key skills important per that job I was applying for, and I change it every time. But I point out like 7 key skills I had related to the job I was applying for, and then I went straight into my job history. And then right at the end of my job history, I had my education history, some of the college courses I took. Even though I don't have my degree, I still took some courses, and I re-highlighted my certifications. Typically in that block up top, I make sure and list my certifications, sometimes even in bold, especially if the job called for that certification, like a CCNA or something like that. CMNO. I put those in bold so they stand out up in that upper section. But keep it really simple. um, the average person, when your resume lands on the hiring desk, the average time is less than 7 seconds spent skimming through that resume. And that 7 seconds, you have 7 seconds to convince that person to, go to the next step, or they're going to throw you in the garbage bin. So don't fill up your resume with a bunch of garbage, and try to keep it. Sometimes it's difficult to keep it to one page in this career field, but try to keep it condensed. My resume is not one page, it's 2 page, just because I have a lot of skills. But try to not don't try to make it over fluffed.
Got it. Yeah. So somebody, that's interesting. So somebody was asking about what's a good amount of time to jump between jobs? Every 2 years? Question mark.
I would try to stay at least with a job for 2 years. I think the golden time frame is really five. I'd avoid it as much as possible. That first entry level job, if you can do 2 years on it and you're happy, 2 years I think is a great amount of time to spend on that first entry level help desk position. That's the amount of time I spent. Um, I'd say 2 years minimum. You really don't want to switch any more than 2 years. And 2 years is still even a bit much, because if you develop a trend and they see, okay, every 2 years this person got a new job, that's bad in itself. I think 5+ years is really the ideal number. Sometimes that's not practical, depending on your career path. So try to look, and jumping, and that's not, that time frame doesn't apply to internal promotions. If you're able to be promoted or hired, promoted to a higher position in your company, that time frame is totally different. That doesn't apply. If they're willing to give you a promotion into a higher, better position that you're qualified for, absolutely take it. Don't hold back. So I'm just talking strictly about moving from company to company and not movement within your company. So try to show your importance, try to show your skills, try to, even if that job doesn't exist, talk about, try to look into getting it created, to have talks with your managers. Just tell them what you are interested in. Don't threaten them that you're going to leave and find another job, but tell them, I did this at my very first job. I tried to convince them to create a system or a network administrator position, and they were very interested in possibly going to do it. But then COVID hit and the funds went away, so we couldn't hire more people to backfill, and so that didn't work out. But try to get promoted within, and then if you've hit that 2 year mark and you're starting to not be happy anymore, by all means start looking, but don't let your employer know that's the reason you're looking. When you get that job and you're certain that job's going to be better for you, you can say, well, it's nothing personal, I just need to advance myself in the career and I didn't see the potential for growth at this time in the company, or something like that. So hopefully that answered that question.
I would be exactly. I would do exactly the same thing that you just suggested. Someone else was asking, how do you deal with stress at work? What do you do what do you do to refresh yourself for the next day?
um you know I try to leave work at work and not bring it home and worry about it. It's not always doable, sometimes you can't do that. um but like on my car ride home, I'll listen to a podcast, I'll blare some music really loud or something. I'll do something um that gets my mind off of what's going on at work. And I found myself, even with this new job recently, I would wake up in the middle of the night and start thinking about work, more so that I'm excited for my next day at work and I can't go back to sleep. But I have to remind myself, okay, it can wait. Work is work. This is you time. You need to not be stressing about it. And even while you're at work, sometimes you have to take your break, take your breaks. Um, you know, and on your break, don't think about work. Put on some music, close your eyes. That's, I just kind of zone out. I on my lunch breaks, I will, you know, sometimes go eat lunch in the car and just kind of relax and listen to some music, not think about what I have to do later on, and just have some you time. And that really kind of remotivates me and keeps me going throughout the day.
No, I like that answer. Typically, what I do is same thing. I listen to music, and I try not to think about work, and I try not to break. I try not to take it too. Like I try not to take my work with me at home. Even though
Abs-
I work from home in my job, I work from home, but
yeah,
I don't I separate everything. I don't like to have everything together. Specifically, oh yeah.
absolutely. And like when I'm at work and I start getting really stressed out, or I know I have a deadline I'm focusing on, a lot of times music helps me get through it. I'll put on my headphones so I tune out all the distractions in the room and just kind of throw myself at my work. And the music, I just kind of get into that rhythm and just keep on, just do the best you can, because that's all you can do at the end of the day. If you go to work and give you 100% every day, you, you should never worry about whether you did your best. And that's what I do. Is I go to work, I give it my all, and that way when I clock out at the end of the day, I know I did the best I could do, and there's no reason to stress or worry about it anymore. So
Awesome, man. Someone was asking, what is the best way for you personally to remember materials you are studying for a test?
me personally, is I'm a hands-on learner, so labs every, I like to say lab every day, but I know I don't. Life is just too crazy, but I practice everything I learn. That's why I went out and bought physical networking gear. I didn't spend a lot of money on it. I spent, maybe $50 total on all my networking gear, but I went out and actually practice and get my hands on. Right now at work, I'm learning some new virtual environments and storage arrays. So I have a Synology server sitting over here. I've set up my own free NAS environment and virtualization and redundancy nodes. And I've actually set that up on stuff I have just laying around. And so I don't have to worry about breaking the production environment. If I want to try something, I come home and try it on my gear. And if it breaks something, great. If it doesn't, then I learn something new. So um, that's the way I learn.
Awesome. And and I'm gonna go and spin it around again. So what is on your channel? Because I know you have a channel. So besides the CompTIA stuff, what are you gonna be? What kind of videos are you gonna be making? I'm just curious.
So in the near future, I plan on definitely releasing some more networking videos. I want to release a lot more how-to tutorials on some of the technologies you'll often see in this kind of field. Just kind of helpful videos like that, because you'll find, you don't know everything when you take a job. You never will. But it's learning where to find that information. I want to be one of those sources of that information. I want to show you how to spin up a virtual environment and how to lab. And then also some more materials is I want to start doing more interviews with people, kind of like what we're doing right now, and give that encouragement to people, because it was a video just like this. Zach over at IT Career Questions. Uh, I said that during the other day's interview, but I if it wasn't for his channel, I don't think I would be in this career. I started watching videos like these on YouTube when I was interested in making the career switch. I mean, before I was in IT, I was a bulldozer operator, and I made a lot of money. I made a stupid amount of money. I also worked a lot of overtime and long 12-hour shifts. And, um, but it was just mind numbing work, and I wasn't happy. I was miserable, and it gave me anxiety, and I just wasn't happy with my job. And I finally told myself, okay, I've worked all these production and manufacturing jobs all my life. The money's, I've done it for the money, never for the enjoyment. And what a concept to do something that I would enjoy every day when I go to work and get, satisfaction out of, and be making money doing it. So I started watching YouTube videos just like these, and it really gave me motivation and inspiration to enter this field. And I want to do that for everyone else. So I want to interview everyday people who have made this choice, or this career path choice, and want to hear their stories. And so that's one thing I really want to highlight here in the upcoming future. And I already have like 3 other interviews lined up actually. So those will be coming out really soon. And then, like I said, there's the CompTIA material. A lot of people have been interested in my A+ study groups I used to do. So those will be coming out soon.
I was just curious, how did you find me?
I found you through Zach's channel actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw you constantly commenting on there, and I went and checked out your channel and started watching your videos, and then
Mm-hmm.
you know you came over to my Discord, and I was like, yes, he's interested in my channel too. And I started tuning in. I actually really got to know you through your Discord, to be honest with you. Once I started like digging into your Discord, I realized how much you help. You do way more than I do by any means. I mean, the mock interviews you host and everything, you really get back to the community, and that I think that's amazing what you do. You really help people get into this career field, and I think that's awesome. So
That's
it's a privilege to have be on your channel.
no, that's the reason why I got you on my channel today, because I want someone that's genuine, and you're a genuine guy. So that's
Yeah.
the reason why I interview you. Otherwise, I wouldn't interview you. I
I,
like you.
I'm
That's
I,
why.
I'm not in this for the money. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
there is going to be a monetary aspect at one point. It will generate money at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But that money is just to fuel the cause. To keep the lights on in the studio, to pay the internet bill. That's the internet bills. I don't even want to talk about Comcast.
It's not even
But
that. It's like I see it in your face that you have you have that commitment, that you have your heart in the right place. That's
I
why I like
want,
having the interview with
yeah,
you.
I want to help people.
That's
And
why.
if I can help someone by doing an interview like this, then it really makes it worth it in the long run. You know, these times can be difficult for people. Maybe they lost their job due to COVID and they're trying to reinvent themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And if my YouTube channel, which is free for everyone, or me being on your YouTube channel can give someone that motivation that I once got from it, that makes it worth it right there.
Definitely. I definitely agree with you. I'm just waiting to see if these guys have any questions. I don't know if anyone has any more questions. I've been
Absolutely.
asking you questions, and I'm asking you questions. I was gonna ask you a question about your beard, but I'm not gonna ask you about that.
Oh, why not?
What do you do what routine do you use for your beard? I'm just kidding.
I have no routine for this beard. But I will say that is a perk about being in this job. I worked so many jobs, I wasn't allowed to grow facial hair. That's probably why I'm so thin on the sides. But finally, I've been able to grow a beard. It was funny. I was actually offered a networking job for a local tire company on the West Coast here, Les Schwab.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through the interview process. They offered me a job making great money, but one of the requirements was zero facial hair. And I turned it down. I said, nope. This is me. I've worked too long and too hard to be able to have a beard. I really appreciate it. And the hiring, the recruiter completely understood. And but yeah, it's just one of the requirements. And I had to turn it down. Like if I ever got offered a job that wouldn't allow me to have a beard, it's not worth it to me at that point, because they obviously care more about them than they do me and my personality. So
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So someone actually was asking about your goals and ambitions for his career in this decade.
so this decade, like the next like 10 years, are we talking about?
I guess,
Or
yeah.
yeah, I guess I want to become, I just started a new career, and I think I made quite the jump into this NOC engineer position. So I want to firm up my knowledge and be very knowledgeable on all the systems at my new company I'm working for.
Mm-hmm.
So my 5-10 year goal, probably I would have to say, is to advance potentially into a director level position. That will take time, I understand, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not, since I'm so new to this next step in my career, I'm not, it's not very ambitious of me. I'm not planning on that step anytime soon, so I'm just focusing on becoming the best person I could be in this career, at this current level right now. So just trying to study, get my certifications. To be honest with you, I planned on having a lot more certifications this far in my career than I currently do. So I think I need those certifications to just that paper proof. I know the information, but I need that certificate to prove to other people that I actually know it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm focusing on right now.
Makes total sense. Someone was asking, is there a specific job board with higher success rates than others, like outside of LinkedIn and Indeed? What other websites do you recommend for someone for applying for jobs?
You know, I I use LinkedIn almost solely anymore. Most of my jobs I've actually found on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn's one of the best. I'm sorry, not LinkedIn. Indeed. I used Indeed for my current one. I did use LinkedIn as well.
Mm-hmm.
I never had really great success with LinkedIn. I think a LinkedIn account is very important to have. But I think Indeed is probably one of the best job boards out there, especially for the technology field. I think I've had a lot of success. I'm curious, what have you used, Kev?
Me?
Yeah,
I got a job with using Craigslist.
yeah,
I got an MSP job. I got an MSP job using Craigslist. I got one of my other jobs. I use Monster. I use Dice. I use LinkedIn, and I use Job Recruiters.
nice.
That's what I
I
did.
I think my very first job was actually posted on Craigslist as well, and then I refound it on LinkedIn. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, I- you know, I I was a little. You gotta be sometimes I think careful with Craigslist.
Craigslist, yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of fake jobs out there that are just trying to steal your information, but
Mm-hmm.
um, there is jobs out there on Craigslist. I think it's kind of a dying resource, though. Unfortunately, I think Craigslist is going to be gone here soon. At least in on the West Coast where I am, I don't see a lot of jobs being posted there as much anymore. Indeed seems to be the primary job source.
Yeah. From my notice, yeah. All right. So I guess we'll call it we'll call it an interview. I guess no more questions. I
Awesome.
see. Um, Actually, was someone else I had a question. They mentioned already. What age did you get into IT? Someone was asking.
Let's see. Gosh, 20 26, I do believe. Let's
26.
see. No, it wasn't even that. It was three years ago I got into IT. So I'm 31 now.
Or 31.
So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I'm 31 now.
Okay.
So I mean, it really depends. I ran a website design and development business for several years.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to consider that, I got into IT back in 2001. If you consider that. So I've really always been in IT in some form or factor.
Mm-hmm.
Officially, though, I got into IT 3 years ago, and I'm 31 now.
Got it.
Um, but I personally know people who got into IT in their late 40s and are just killing it. So, I don't think age is a factor.
Mm-hmm.
I also know someone who has their CCNP at the age of 13. I actually interviewed him on
Oh
my
yes, I
channel.
saw that video. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So age is not a matter in this field if you have the dedication. So
Someone was asking, will AI replace networking and cybersecurity jobs in the next decade or two?
I don't think so whatsoever. If anything, it'll help the people. I'll help people in the field do a better job. But there'll always need to be people in this field. You know, AI is only as smart as we program it to be. I think I don't think it'll take over anytime soon, if ever, in this job field. They'll always need people. They'll always need smart people like us to program something or to actually be doing the physical work.
Yeah, but I think IT has. There's also the help desk job too. I don't think help desk is going to go anywhere. It's
No,
always going to be there.
it will evolve and change,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
um and that's why you can never stop learning in this job field, because if you stop learning, you're gonna already be you're gonna be already out of the field. Then you're gonna you know you have to always be learning something in this field to stay up to date with times. So if you enjoy learning and if you enjoy learning new things, then this field's for you. Absolutely.
Definitely. All right. See if they have any more questions. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. Obviously, if you ever come to New York, let me know.
I will.
We'll have a beer. Do you drink beer like I do? So I definitely I'll throw a beer your way, and we'll have some beers and have some pizza or something. I don't know.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't drink often, but yeah, once in a while, you can't beat a good beer with a pizza or, some tacos or something like that.
Oh yeah, we'll do some homemade brewery beer from a place I know that they do home style beer and home style pizza.
Oh, awesome.
And it's
Absolutely.
really good. It's really, really good. So if you come to New York, let me know. Let
Well,
me know. You have me on Discord too. So just let me know.
absolutely.
For everyone else, anyone else you're watching right now, I'm gonna leave his YouTube channel below on the description, and I'm also gonna leave his Discord below in the description. And just letting you know, he is very approachable. If you want to ask him a question or you want to ping him or talk to him, you can just message him.
Absolutely.
He's on my Discord too, by the way. So he's on his Discord and my Discord, and I'm on his Discord as well. So if you ever want to message him or let it talk to him, he is super approachable. He'll answer your questions. Just obviously keep in mind of his time as well, because he's busy. So also keep that in mind too. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. This last week or two with my new job, haven't been online as much as normal, but I try to get back to everyone who asks questions because I've been there. I understand what people are going through if they have questions about this field, and I want to help. So absolutely, feel free to ask me any question.
All righty. So I'll let you guys go. I hope you guys are having. I hope you guys have a great Sunday. Randomly, I hope daytime savings didn't mess me up a little bit. The hour forward. Like I said, thank you for having me here. It was fun, man. It was fun. Thank you for coming over here. I know you have your own schedule and everything, so I greatly appreciate you coming over here to my channel and talking and
not a problem.
Motivating people over here. So that's awesome. So
anytime, just let me know. I'd be more than willing to come back.
All righty. So you guys have a good day. Thanks for watching. Is there anything you want to say to the audience?
Just stay motivated. Don't get deterred. Just keep on applying, keep studying, and you'll go far in this career field. Just keep motivated. And if you need more motivation, Kevin's got it. Kevin will keep you motivated. Absolutely.
All right. Let's see what's going on over here. Just bear with me. I don't think anyone has any more questions. So you guys have a good day, all right? I love to know more about this guy. Thanks for interviewing him, Kevin. Yeah, it was a fun interview. Take care, guys. You guys have a good one. Bye. All right. I ended the stream just now.
Nice.